Why, hello. I am Tiara Reed, the owner of Inspire, Engage, and Educate. And I am super, super excited to continue our series of I'm in Love with BAE, Building Ambitious Endeavors. And tonight is truly special because I have two of my edupreneur friends with me. And if you don't know what that means they are educators that have transitioned into being entrepreneurs, and not just any old entrepreneur. They're very successful in their field. So I'm super honored to have them tonight. And I'm going to begin by introducing Samara. Samara is an amazing mom of two boys, and Samara has not only a heart of gold, but she is near and dear to my heart. If she can help anyone, she will. And we met some time ago, and from that moment, she has been one of my go-to people for all questions about nonprofit, as well as just being an entrepreneur. So, Samara, I'm so happy to have you. And we have Kellee, my real estate bestie, who not only is an amazing sister friend of mine, but also she is the reason why I am a homeowner. So I'm super happy to have her, and she's thriving in the real estate industry. And Samara is thriving in the consultancy industry along with her other companies. So tonight, I ask that you make sure that you share your questions and comments below. And we're going to begin with Samara sharing her story.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Tiara, for inviting me. And I'm so pleased to be here with you and Kellee tonight. It's just awesome to be able to participate in something like this. And I know how important it is for entrepreneurship in our community, but also just because we've been educators. And a lot of times, educators, we have so much talent and just so many amazing gifts, and we don't always get to show them, or people don't highlight them. So I really appreciate you always, making sure that we have a platform to do this. So my name is Samara Michelle Days, and I am a nonprofit leader, and I am a nonprofit consultant. And so because I am an educator, I teach everything that I know. And so my story is I taught in an alternative school in Cobb County, and I danced when I was growing up. I spent all of my time in a dance studio when I was growing up, and it was a nonprofit dance studio. So I learned about nonprofit really, really early in my journey. And I understood fundraising because we danced at fundraisers and galas and things like that. And so when I began, my journey into adulthood, and I graduated from college and I was at this alternative school, I I was a teacher, and I thought I was gonna make all this money because it sounded like it was good money. And then I got my first check, and one of my colleagues talks about it now that I cried because I was like, oh my God, I'm working so hard. And I had to start, thinking about side jobs and doing things on the side. And I was dance teaching on the side and tutoring on the side. And I just started to really think about going into what I loved, which was dance. Have some friends that were in New York, and I went to visit them, and they just inspired me. And so I decided I was going to open up a nonprofit dance studio. And I wanted to really focus on children that don't have the accessibility of the arts, because in my teaching profession, it was so many kids that were getting in trouble and doing all sorts of things, and they didn't have an outlet. So that's how I started in my entrepreneurship journey. And I've just gone from there. Because I was running a nonprofit, I began to, again, always a side hustle, always a couple of different streams of income. I wrote my own 501c3. I learned that process for myself. And then people started asking me, and, Tiara, you introduced me so nicely, and it's true. I like to help people. So they asked me, can you help me with that? Can you help me with 501c3? And so I did, and consulting was born 15 years ago. And I was like helping people on the side and writing 501c3s or teaching people how to do it. And it was never formal until the pandemic. My entire business shut down because we work with schools. We go into schools, we teach dance, we go into daycares, we teach dance, the arts, fitness, and all of that closed during the pandemic. So I had to get my hustle on. I didn't have a job. And how are you out of work and you're the boss? So that's what happened. I had to pivot, and I just started, reaching out to the circle of people and saying, I can help you with your nonprofit. I've been doing this for years, and I've been helping people for years. And so it just really took off, and I'm able to really focus on nonprofits. And I believe that you can make money from your passion. I believe that you can really thrive from your passion. And so that's just my story. That's how I got in this game. And it's a long way, from my upbringing in Detroit. And I'm able to really hone in on the same neighborhoods and the same types of kids that I was when I was a kid. And I'm just passionate about it. And I want to spend my time either helping children in the arts or helping entrepreneurs live their passion. So that's me.
I love that, Samara. And I've heard some bits of that story, but just to hear you talk about so passionately how you saw an opportunity and you seized the moment, knowing that not only did your dreams matter, but you wanted to make an impact. So a lot of times as teachers, we think about, our industry and, I'm helping people, I'm helping the students fulfill their dreams, but also teachers, your dreams matter as well. So I love that you were brave enough to not only be motivated by understanding that, there was no ceiling to how much you could make, but also understanding that the impact, although it looked differently, you could continue to go on. Hello, Capricia. Yay. Thank you, Capricia. And this is a question posed to both Samara and Kellee. Samara, you talked about being so excited to teach and understanding that during the pandemic, although you could teach or you could have gone back to possibly teaching, you stuck it out and decided that I wanted to make a change. I wanted to pivot because I did love something about being an entrepreneur, right? So, what truly is that? What led you to being an entrepreneur other than, of course, the time flexibility? You could still make an impact, but what were some of those things that did not make you, when times get rough, go back and revert back to teaching? So tell me about that, Samara and then Kellee.
So I had to unmute. So I I decided early in my journey, I had a rough start to entrepreneurship because teaching is very stable and and I kind of jumped in. I just jumped into, I left my teaching job, and it's one of the most stable careers there is. And I just left into entrepreneurship, and it started to get rough. So early on, I decided that this is my path. I'm going to live my dream, and there is no turning back. So some people believe oh, it's a plan B and it's safe to go back to your career. But I really believe that I left for a reason, that I was called to do this work, and I can't turn my back on it, because me leaving means that the people that I'm going to touch and help won't get touched and they won't get helped. So that is my driving why for why I do this. I believe that I'm an educator, but I am meant to touch in a different way. I'm not supposed to do it through the lens of the school system. I'm supposed to be able to coach people to touch a lot of other people. I'm supposed to help kids live their dreams. And I just stick to that. I just made a decision a long time ago that there is no backup plan. The backup plan is to figure out how to do this a different way, to pivot in a different way. And the world changes. We see that. I mean, it's always changed. But when I started doing business, there was no auto pay. There were no debit cards. You couldn't auto pay your clients. Can you imagine? So there was like checks bouncing. This is how long I've been an entrepreneur. So the world always changes, and we really have to have a stick to it mentality, because you'll go running back, I mean, to whatever is safe forever, and it's just not how you get to the goal. So that's what happened with me.
Okay, so I guess, do you want me to give my story first here and then answer? Go ahead and answer that, and then I'll.
Well, you know what? You can actually. This is Kelly again, guys. My real estate bestie. So go ahead, Kelly. You can answer that and then start with your story. It's up to you. We're just having a good time tonight.
Okay. So in terms of mine, I actually went to the University of Georgia, and my major was mathematics education. So my goal was to become a teacher. When I got into the profession, I didn't realize all that came with it. I kind of saw a little bit with student teaching, but I really didn't know until I was really just there with my own kids. So, to answer that question, I love the kids. I love math. The system was just, I'm already I guess, a somewhat type A person, and I'm very hard on myself. I want my business to look right, my professionalism, no matter what I do. Even when I was a server walking around with a tray of champagne glasses in a mansion in Houston, I was going to be the best one. So, with that being said, the added pressure from the school system and all these accountability measures that came with being a math teacher, a secondary math teacher, caused me to be extremely stressed out. And now, even when there have been low moments in my career in real estate, the one thing that I stand strong on is my mental health. And the mental, like what I have now, the peace of mind that I have matters so much more to me than that stability that I did have as a teacher. And if I keep pushing with that and keep strong with it, somehow, some way, I always get through the days, even the rough days. But my days are nothing like some of those stressful days that I had when I was an educator. So, did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm Kelly, everybody. Yes, I am Tiara's real estate bestie. I laugh every time she says this. So I am a former mathematics teacher. I'm from Atlanta. So I went to UGA, like I said, to become a math teacher. That was my whole goal in going to college. I wanted to be a teacher. And graduated. I started teaching. I taught 2 years in Atlanta, and then I just wanted to try living somewhere else. My parents at the time couldn't afford for me to go to school out of state. So once I became a teacher, I was still in my early 20s. I just said, okay, let me just pick a city and go. So I went to Houston for 6 years, and I loved Houston. I lived there. I taught most of my teaching career was in Houston. When I was here, I taught sixth grade my first 2 years. Got to Houston, taught seventh and eighth grade simultaneously in 1 year. And then after that, the last 6 years of my career in education was all high school. I love the kids, even the ones that may be challenging. I still just enjoyed working with them. I think because I was so passionate about math and being a minority woman in the math classroom, and knowing that I could deliver it in a way that was understandable for them, that was so important to me. And that's why I really enjoy teaching. So probably close to my sixth, seventh year, I started noticing that I didn't feel fulfilled all the way. Um, and I didn't know what to do. And one of my former friends, she's a realtor, and she kept telling me, hey, join my team, come get in it with me. And I was stalling. I kept stalling, like, oh, no, it's okay. I'm okay. Finally, 1 year, I was teaching full time at a high school in Atlanta, and I was teaching college at Georgia Piedmont College. So I was teaching adults at night, a couple nights a week. I started taking my real estate exam online. Passed my exam in June. Obviously, that's the summertime. We're not in school at that time. I just said, oh, okay, I can do this on the side. Something came over me in September of that same year in 2017, and I had started at a new school. The school was great, but something was bothering me. And I found myself in the classroom before school started, crying in the corner and wiping my face off when the bell rang and greeting kids at the door. And I knew something wasn't right. I didn't understand what was wrong with me because I was a great teacher. I liked the kids. I liked math. I just couldn't understand what it was. And finally, I went to the doctor and I told them what was going on, and they said it was situational. And I ended up just leaving the profession. And my transition was slightly difficult because I was not the best in terms of saving money when I was a teacher, because I was trying to pay bills. So I didn't have a stash of money saved up to survive, because I'm sure most of y'all know with real estate, we get paid when we close. So at any given time, somebody can terminate a transaction. You may not have business the first however many months in your career, whatever it is. So luckily, I was able to partner with that same friend. I was her assistant. So she paid me a really small salary as her assistant. So I was learning all the paperwork behind the scenes as her assistant and still trying to build up my business. And eventually I was able to get things going. And there were definitely times, like in the beginning of 2019, I didn't understand what was going on with me. I had no closings the first quarter of the year, and I was so stressed out. But I had a very supportive brokerage that like helped me a lot. They encouraged me, they mentored me, gave me some ideas on how to market myself, because I forgot this caveat. When I was in Houston, I got a master's in social work because I liked the role of the school social workers at the school that I was at. But being in education and social work, I didn't have a sales background. So I didn't know how to really sell myself. No way. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do this. Well, somehow something came about and things just started rolling for me. And then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, surprisingly, we were definitely scared, but that's when it shot through the roof. And I'm sure a lot of people who might be watching this know the real estate market is absolutely crazy right now. 2020, every year has become a better year than the years before. So 2020 was my best year. Then 2021 top 2020. I'm expecting 2022 to do the same. But at the end of the day, when it came to my finances and stuff, I put myself on a small salary just so I could maintain, because I may have had a closing this month, may have zero, may have 4 closings. It's very inconsistent. So the biggest thing with being an entrepreneur coming from having a salary job is making sure that I can keep that consistency and not feel stressed out in the months where it may be a little slower. The last thing that I will say, in terms of the education translating, I'm an educator at heart. And especially with first time home buyers, educating them through the process, giving them, like, I have a transaction coordinator who is like my teammate. And, once we go under contract, I give them an email of next steps. She takes it from there. She gives them next steps. I explain everything before we start and so on. Even when I have listings, I have a listing presentation. So that way sellers are understanding this is what we need to do to sell your property. So it's always about how do I help these people maximize their profit in terms of sellers, and how do I help these buyers find the best way to, or find the best property for them, and constantly re-insuring them that they will get a house, and whatever house is for them will be for them.
So as she was talking, and she talked about that first home buy, me. So I called Kellee my real estate bestie because that's exactly who she was during my buying process. I will be honest with you. I caught COVID. The home that I'm living in right now, we chose this house while I had COVID. She literally walked through this house. I bought a house sight unseen, had never walked through the house. But because she knew my type, my selection, she walked through, she showed me with on FaceTime, and I was like, Kellee, that's it. I don't need to see anything else. That's it. And it was just such a blessing because prior to working with her, I had such a rough time. I think this was like house 30 or something. And I mean, when I tell you she was a true teammate, a best friend, like a lot of places, she would say, no, we're not even gonna go there, Tia, because I know you're not gonna like it. So just thinking about the way that you enhanced my experience with those soft skills that you brought in. Because a lot of time in your industry, people are thinking about the sale, and not knowing that the person who's buying or the person who's selling, they may be emotionally attached to home. The person who's buying, they may have some financial issues or other reasons why they need to escalate the process, but things aren't happening, especially in Atlanta. Oh my goodness, it is insane. The home that I bought, I just shared with Kellee, like the equity is out the roof. So just thinking about things like that, how much you've taught me that I can speak eloquently about real estate, right? So you did your job. As we move forward, and we want you guys to ask questions, make comments. But before we go, Ladies, I would love each of you just to share, how do you balance everything and what keeps you inspired and motivated? Because we know as entrepreneurs, and listen, it is not for the weak at heart. This is the most I've worked and the most fulfilled that I felt, but it is not something that you want to do if you feel like quitting at the first stumble. Listen, in 2022, I had literally just went full time, had contracts closed, and I knew I wanted a home. So, just the fact that I was able to connect with a prior educator, and then just thinking about Samara, how much you gave to me, because I would not have my nonprofit if it wasn't for you. So, ladies, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going? When you think about what you guys have going on within your own company?
I guess I can start. This goes back to that mental health piece. I think what really keeps me going is remembering that I'm creating a life that I truly enjoy living. And that's something every day I think about. Like every day, I'm constantly trying to find gratitude in small things, little things. And just like you said, Tiara, I've worked the hardest I've ever worked in my life, but I choose to. It's not an obligation. I enjoy working this hard. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm constantly learning all types of things, all types of resources for my clients. Another thing that I have had to learn to do is give myself grace. There may be a day that I just literally need to lay on the couch and call it a day. And when you give yourself those days of grace, that also helps kind of balance out, it's okay. This is going to happen. And then when you start really talking to other people, entrepreneurs in general, or even just in your general industry, everybody else is going through the same thing. So it's not just you by yourself. So having conversations with other people very much so helps me get through those times and helps me keep balance. I am trying to get on a better schedule now, and I think I'm about there, but that's one other thing that I just need to like really tie in. And I'm a new dog mom that has rocked my whole schedule. So that's why he's about 6 months. We're getting good now. Now we can have some balance. So yeah.
Woo! So I have two babies and two businesses. So balance is something that it's a balancing act every day. So a couple things I wanna say about this. So I believe that it's important to understand balance, and it's important to understand boundaries. So I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and I've done it quite a few ways. So I've been a 100% entrepreneur. I have been a side hustler. I've been a oh yeah. I've been I've worked full time and had a business full time. So there's a lot of balance in all of that. But what I've learned is that I love that Kellee said give yourself grace. Because if you're in this and you're in it for the long haul, one day of you relaxing and rejuvenating is not going to kill you. I see these posts that are like, I'm 24/7. I am not 24/7. I am not a 24/7 entrepreneur. I have balance. I rarely work on the weekends. I rarely work in the evenings. I am here at 8 p.m. because I love to hear. But you don't typically see me at 8 p.m. because I have small children, and I put them in the bed every night and I pick them up from school every day. And that's important to me. And if I'm not going to do those things, then I might as well go back and get a job and have someone regulate my time. So it's important. The freedom of entrepreneurship is important to me, which means I have to balance and have boundaries with my clients, with myself, because I'm a workaholic for real. But I have to have boundaries with myself and say no, and forgive myself for turning on the TV or playing an internet game for hours, because I work for hours. So I constantly remind myself, work hard, play harder. And that's what I do. I build in time with my friends and build in time. And so my suggestion for anybody listening that struggles with this, and I know as Black women, we weren't taught to give ourselves grace. We weren't taught to slow down. We all have 50 million things, and we're a mom or a dog mom or in a sorority or doing, God knows, volunteering. We are super women, right? And that's fine. Superwoman needs a break. She needs to go get a massage. She needs to go get her hair done and her nails done and put her feet up, because if we don't fill up our cup, we can't fill up anybody else's cup. And so what I have learned and told myself is that if I'm not okay, then my kids aren't okay, my husband isn't okay, my clients aren't okay. I have to be okay. So I have to take care of myself. And Kellee, that's so important for that mental health and your schedule. Stick to your schedule like you would stick to anybody else's schedule. I don't take meetings before 10 o'clock. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry that you don't have any other time. I might not be the coach for you. And that just is what it is. Because I have a schedule and I just have to keep it. And I can refer you to somebody that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I don't know if you can sustain that for years. Normally people burn out. So it's important to just really, really give yourself time and balance and figure out what that is. And one last thing I want to say, because I read this, balance isn't always 50-50. It's not always equal. So sometimes you are working really, really hard. And sometimes you do have to work 10 hours. But then that means that, next month you need to play half of the month. And so balance isn't always equal, but it ends up, balancing out. So that's it.
So as we are, and thank you so much, Samara and Kellee, for giving your perspective. But as we close out, I want you guys not only to listen to what we're saying here, but Samara and I are going to jump on Instagram and continue the conversation for about 5 minutes, because we know that this is very, very important for a lot of our entrepreneurs or educators to hear. But before you guys leave, my question is this, and you guys can ask questions as well. But and just to kind of get back to what some of the things that I saw people say, they were talking about, like, this is Holly. This is not only an amazing listen, multiple companies, as well as one of the person that does my taxes, and most of the people that I know. Holly is so serious about self-care. So she's a testament to that. And then I saw another friend that reached out and said that she doesn't give herself grace because she's a sprinter. But again, when you own your labor, you own your time. And I know that's what drove me to be an entrepreneur. When I battled breast cancer and I knew that, we're all on this earth for a certain amount of time. You can use it wisely or you can use it frivolously. And I wanted to be able to use it in a way that brought me joy. And traveling is my thing. Listen, y'all. Yes, I love to travel. So I agree with that. Making sure that you set your schedule, making sure that you build in time for you and the things that are important. Last but not least, my question. How do you avoid the imposter syndrome? Meaning that that, of course, you start off as an educator, but now you are at the top of your company, your industry. How do you combat that? Or do you ever experience that where you may feel at times, am I in over my head? Or maybe I'm at my bandwidth of what I can give. How do you handle that?
I'll go first. I don't really so one, I'm a super confident person. It's from dance, right? It's from dance. So, we think we all that regardless, right? Because we're performers and we just think we're all that. So I rarely get into imposter syndrome. However, I coach clients and I have this conversation all the time. And a lot of times my clients, especially if they're going to go into consulting or whatever, they're like, I need to go get another degree, or I need to get another credential, or I need to get another whatever to prove. Well, I have a master's degree, y'all. I only talk about it because no one cares about it any other time. So I say it on forums like this because no one cares any other time, right? Because really, if you are teaching someone what they need to know and they're benefiting from it, they don't care about credentials or any of that stuff. That is really just you trying to talk yourself down out of a goal or being scared. It is what it is. When you start questioning, can I do this? Maybe people will think, maybe it's really you thinking that thing about yourself, and you just have to love on yourself a little bit more, because whatever information you need from me, like Tiara, if you wanted to know about nonprofit and you were like, let me call my girl Samara, and I gave you the information and it was correct, you don't care how many nonprofits I started. I can help you start yours. And so the truth is that you can just step out there and start to test the waters. If you think that you're an imposter, just help some people. Do it for free if you want to. I don't suggest that, but if that's what you need, I think you should always get paid for your work. But sometimes people need that, that extra. So you can go and if you're going to do it for free, do it for free at a purpose. So a nonprofit, or go help someone that needs it, and see how much of an imposter they think you are. They don't. They're going to enjoy what you teach them, and they're going to enjoy what you pour into them. And so you have to believe in yourself. You have to, and you can take baby steps. You don't have to go out and, promise the world, but just to be honest, and whatever it is that you're selling or doing, you just promise that. Just promise that thing, do that thing, and then you can move on to the next level. It's baby steps, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. I know that somebody said they're a sprinter, and I immediately thought, business is forever. It's living. So, you can take baby steps and ease into it. Even Kellee said that in her journey. It takes a little time. She started as an assistant. It takes a little time to grow into that. It's okay, because all of a sudden you a boss real estate person, and you're on, and you're teaching tips and, and so on and so forth. So we don't have to sprint. We really can take that time and believe in ourselves and test the waters a little bit, and go from there. So yeah.
Okay, so I am the prime example of imposter syndrome. It has been something that I struggled with a lot, more so in my real estate career, because this goes back to what I was saying about my background. I was a math teacher and I have a social work degree. Those aren't salesy people. I didn't have to ask for a job to be a math teacher. I didn't have to ask for a job in social work, even though I only did an internship in that field, and it was actually in child abuse. But I went back to education. But either way, those skills are still there. And one thing that I will say is, every time I kind of get like that, I have a few people in my life who check me real quick, and they're like, "No, no, no! Like you're good." There have been times in my real estate career where I'd be on Instagram and I feel like others were more popular than me, or they had more business because they were showing more closings. But then in conversations with other people in the industry, you know, I had to learn not to compare myself, because there may be something that they were doing that I may not be comfortable doing. Also, whatever looks good online may not really be true, because I know some people who have gotten bad reviews for their service. They may be popular, but they're not the most like realtor. And for me, that's important to me, because I'm helping people make a decision on one of the largest purchases of their life. So I want that process to be absolutely like an amazing process. Like, I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel knowledgeable. And I don't want you to feel like you regret something that you just got into, which is a huge purchase. So there were times, like, not really this year or last year, but when I would have to just kind of remove myself from social media, even if it was for a week or a month or so, just to kind of recharge and get myself back together. Even this year, something that really stood out to me that I really had to hone in on, like my support system, they're always like, but you're a boss, you're doing it, you're da 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 da. I was at an award ceremony for my current brokerage, and my mom was my plus one. And just seeing the joy on her face really made me remember, like, how powerful I have become in this world. And actually, I have another gala for the top producers in Atlanta on Saturday. My mom is coming to that as well. So seeing the joy on her face and how far I've come, that really kind of reeled me back in and reminded me, like, that I'm doing you're doing a good job, or whatever that saying is. I have to tell myself that. So I've gotten a lot better. I do still have a therapist that I see maybe once a month, and we talk about that, because my imposter syndrome would even go into, oh, you don't deserve that car. Like, no, you don't have enough money to get that car. And she was like, why don't you? And I was like, because I can't afford it. Well, clearly I've had this Lexus almost 3 years, and clearly I've not had an issue. So mine kind of infiltrates in other areas of my life as well, with that kind of scarcity mindset, like, oh, you don't have enough to do this, but you can live the life that you want to live. And that's kind of my story on it. So.
Wow, thank you so much, both of you ladies. Listen, guys, they dropped some gems. If you are watching us live, we would love to hear from you as we wrap up. Please share your comments or your questions. We'll bring them up on the screen. But I've learned so much from you ladies tonight. Of course, you guys are near and dear to my heart. I would have not asked for your time if I didn't know that it would impact and inspire someone. My goal, friends out there, I know they're listening to this or will listen to this and maybe decide to make that leap into whatever industry that they feel is best for them. Of course, when it comes down to Samara and the whole nonprofit industry, from grant writing to figuring out what direction you want to go, she is the best. She is one of my coaches in that area, which I need to contact her. And of course, Kellee, I wanted to shout you out because this week in the mail, and actually it probably was from last week, Kellee, not only did she sell me my home, this is why I call her my real estate bestie, she continues to cultivate the relationship. There's not a holiday that goes by that I don't get a card from her. And it's not just a regular card, it always has a goodie in it. This time I had like a scratch off, and it was just for, St. Patrick's Day, just reminding me that, hey, she's my real estate bestie. Anybody that I know looking for a home, you already know. I got a million realtor friends, but you're the first name that's going to pop up in my head because of not how many followers she has, but how she made me feel. And that's what people remember. In business, they will always come back to you, not because you're the cheapest, not because you know whomever or whatever. That may get you the job, but what keeps the job is how you cultivate those relationships and how you make them feel in the end, right? So we didn't hear from you guys, but hopefully you will continue to comment. I'm not great by mistake, neither of you. Thank you, Capricia. This is my first gold friend. Yes, yes. Capricia is one of the major reasons why I still go so hard for Inspire, Engage, Educate. Capricia has a very, very special gift. She does sip paints, but the private kind. So those of you who may be looking for something nice to do during Mother's Day with your kids or with your mom, hit up Capricia. Again, she's one of my she's an OG gold friend. Thank you, Capricia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who watched the show. Please, please, please follow Samara and I. Kellee can't join us. She's busy, booked and busy. And Samara, gotta get to the babies, but we do want to chat with you guys on IG. So at 8:50, we'll see you at Inspire, Engage, Educate on Instagram. Have a good evening. All right.